Alright, this right here is a mono black turn 1 killer consistent deck. Now with this deck you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 swamps as your basic land. And that's all you need are 12 swamps. You don't need anything else. And the purpose of having a small amount of swamps is because you just need enough land to make sure that your first turn you're probably going to get a swamp. After that, when you play this and you're doing it in a turn 1 kill, it's really just that one swamp that you need. The rest of the swamp inside your deck are basically going to eventually be, they're just there. You really only need the 12 to just make sure that you get that first turn swamp if you need it. That really helps you basically fill your deck out with more stuff that you can normally not do with a deck that has like 24 swamps, let's say, or 24 total lands. That's an extra 12 cards you can have. Now the next card I want to talk about, Necropotence. This is by itself a pretty expensive card. Just this version right here is about $8 to $10. A full play set is going to set you back about $40. Honestly, you can probably get them cheaper. Don't get the $15 version because really you're just paying $60 for a picture. This right here is going to win you the game. This is what you're looking for. The moment you drop this card, you basically declare victory. This right here says you skip your draw phase. Instead of drawing like you normally do for 3 black mana permanent enchantment, what you do is you dump your life into a card draw. It says pay 1 life to set aside top card of your library at the beginning of your next discard phase, which, by the way, does not even exist, so you ignore that part. You can put that card into your hand. This doesn't end your turn, so you use this and you say, I've got 10 life. Dump 10 life in, or no, not that you have 10 life, but you have 20 life and you're willing to pay 10 life. You basically draw 10 cards. Really good card. I would play set it out. The next one is Tendrils of Agony. Tendrils of Agony is basically the combo up with this to make it where you can end up using your entire deck on your opponent. What this is 2/2 life swing with Storm. If you don't know what Storm is, basically what that means is you copy this spell for every spell played before it this turn. So if you use a lot of spells like Dark Ritual that will give you mana, that's a spell. And that means that since you played that before Tendrils, you copy Tendrils because of that spell. If you play 5 spells and then drop this is spell number 6, you copy it 5 times before this. That's 6/2/2, so it's a 12/12 life swing for 4 total cost. So we'll play set that out. You gain that life, and then you use that with the necro to get more cards into your hand. The next card is Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal is a free cost, 0 mana cost artifact. You sacrifice it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. It says play this ability as a mana source. Well, no duh. A full play set. This is really good for if, let's say that you started off, you only had enough mana ramp to go ahead and put out that necro, and you no longer have mana, but you want to go ahead and grab some cards. You can use Lotus Petal as, even if you didn't have Lotus Petal to start off with, knowing that it's in your deck, and knowing that you're probably going to get like a 19 card draw on your first turn because you have 20 life, you can pay 19 and still be alive. You're probably going to hit that card, so you can get your mana back up. The next card is, and by the way, Lotus Petal is also an expensive card. I would say about $3, maybe $5 for the more expensive ones. Dark Ritual. Basically, 1 black becomes 3. It's an instant. You can play it on your opponent's turn as well. I have 3 of this version, and that's Ice Age right there. I actually like the Ice Age one more than I do like all the other ones. Really good card. Good way to get that. It's a spell, so it tributes into that Tendrils of Agony, but you also get the mana. So you're drawing into that. Cabal Ritual. 2 becomes 3 if you have Threshold, which is 7 or more cards in your graveyard. 2 becomes 5. So it's even better than Dark Ritual. Play set that out. That's another spell in your deck. There are no creatures in this deck except for the ones that you're going to kill off by yourself anyway, which is pretty much bringing us to the next card, Cull in the Weak. For 1 mana, sacrifice a creature to add for 1 black, sacrifice a creature to add 4 black to your mana pool. It may seem like too much effort to put into sacrificing one of your own creatures just to get mana, but when you see the kind of creatures we have, this is really good. The next one is Phyrexian Walker. 0 mana cost, 0/3 artifact creature. A free creature. You just drop it out. You throw it out as soon as you have it. You don't have to pay anything for it. You really just need it just so you can Cull in the Weak. And it's a free defense. Even better, Shield Sphere. 0/6 for 0 counts as a wall. If it is assigned to block, put a -0/-1 counter. So basically, if you actually use it to block with, it's really a 0/5. But again, it's just going to help you be able to attribute more into the Cull in the Weak to get more mana. So again, this is not a creature-heavy deck. You're not going to use your creatures for much except for getting more mana. Next card is Diabolic Tutor. Now, Diabolic Tutor is an expensive card. 4 mana cost to fetch for a card. It basically says search your library for a card, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. But because we get a lot of mana in this deck, honestly, it's not that big of a deal to use Diabolic Tutor. It's basically the poor man's Demonic Tutor. I'm actually thinking about putting Demonic Tutor in this deck, but I'd have to buy some more, and they're pretty expensive. They're about $20 a pop. This card right here is about $2. So I think if you're trying to budget, this is a really good alternative to Demonic Tutor. Hymn to Turak. I have almost every version. I'd like to get the 4th version, but basically 2 black, target opponent discards 2 cards at random. It's really just there for another spell, and you basically stop people from countering you. When they start to see that you're putting together a chain combo, you might want to use that. But if it's turn 1, you probably won't even necessarily care too much. Despise. 1 black, target opponent reveals his or her hand, you choose a creature or planeswalker from it, and they discard it. So basically, kill a creature or a planeswalker from their hand. Have 2 of those. So it's basically like Hymn to Turak, but it's only 1 card for 1 mana rather than 2 cards for 2, and it's more specific. It's not random. You're getting to see your opponent's hand. That's by itself already really good. The next is Duress. It's basically the same thing, only non-creature, non-land card. As long as it's not a creature or land, you're duressing 2 copy of each of those 2 cards. Morality Shift, a 2 copy. Exchange your graveyard and library, then shuffle your library for 7 mana. Basically, at the end, because what you're going to end up doing with this deck, with the Necro, is you're going to take your entire, on turn 1, you're going to take your entire deck and basically throw it at your opponent. This card right here will allow you to get all of those cards from the graveyard and put them back into your library, which, since you're getting Tendrils, Life Swing, you're overkilling your opponent, and you're getting to the point where you're basically saying the game's not over until I say it is. And they died a long time ago. You decide to use this for whatever reason. Let's say you've got, like, I don't know, a huge meta game. There's like 6 other opponents. You might want to use this to take care of everybody else when you have nothing left. Yawgmoth's Will is a cheaper version. It is until end of turn. You may play cards in your graveyard as though they were in your hand. But cards that were used this way are exiled instead of being put back into the graveyard. So you lose cards for good when you use that card. It's about half the, in fact it's less than half the cost of Morality Shift, but you lose cards forever when you use them, when you use this. Finally we have, and there's just a one copy of that, we have Mind Twist, and it's also a one copy. Basically the X value is how many cards your opponent discards from hand. So that's how that deck works. In the next video, I'll actually show you through a shadow duel. Actually, let me show you the sideboard, which is not really that big of an impression. It's okay, but some of the cards in here are really good. Some of them I kind of just threw in there. I'll explain, like Platinum Angel is really great because you can't lose the game. Your opponents can't win the game. So let's say it's early on and you just want to go ahead and necro. Get your entire deck in your hand. Even if you make yourself go into the negative, you still can't lose the game. Now it's different from Platinum Empyrean, which Platinum Empyrean says your life total can't change. That actually basically stops you from being able to use necro. This pretty much permits you to use necro to no extent, no limit, I should say. Next you have Infernal Tutor. It's basically like Demonic Tutor, but you have to search for a card that you already have in hand. But it does have Hellbent. If you have no cards in hand, in other words, if this was your only remaining card and you used it, then you can basically use it like it's a Demonic Tutor. Jalam Tomb. It's an artifact, permanent. Pay 2 to draw a card from your library, and then immediately discard a card of your choice to your graveyard for 3. Lake of the Dead. Kill off. It basically, Lake of the Dead allows you to, if you're playing late turn or late game, you kill off your own swamps to get 4 mana out of each one. Vault Coffers is a $10 card. You're looking at basically you tap it, 2 extra mana, add 1 black for each swamp you control. Ornithopters. Now Ornithopters are basically like those creatures that are free. I just threw that in here. This is the card you actually care about in your sideboard. It's basically if you're going against like a flying deck and you want those extra creatures for defense until you can use them for Call in the Week, this is a 0/2 flyer that's free. An extra 2 swamps in case you decide that you need a little bit of extra swamp. And then Ebon Stronghold, which I think is the best of the non-basic decks out there that's not a swamp. You sacrifice it for 2 black. I mean, it's just that simple. So anyway, in the next video, I'll show you how you can use this deck to kill your opponent easily on turn 1 and actually kill multiple people.